Our kneeling double dumbbell swings are a great strength and endurance move, focusing primarily on that posterior chain. So mostly those hamstrings, those glutes, and that low back a little bit. We're also going to be involving the arms and the shoulders to control that weight, but those are not the primary movers. Those are not the muscle groups you should be focusing on and the muscle groups you should be really feeling it on. We want to focus on that hip movement. This is going to be similar to a standing double dumbbell swing, except we're not going to be able to involve as much of the momentum with the body and the lower legs. It's going to be a little bit tougher doing these on the knees, so start off a little lighter weight probably than you would do for a standing one. So grab those weights, come on down onto those knees. We're going to sit back, pick those weights on up. Those weights are going to be staying on the outside of the body here. Remember, just like for a normal swing, we are generating that momentum by pushing those hips back, driving the hips forward to get those weights moving. Those weights are going to come up around chest height, and as they come back, those hips are going to go back again to kind of absorb the force of those weights, and then they're going to drive forward to swing them as well. So remember, lots of hip motion here. Press back, use that momentum in the hips, driving those hips forward, squeezing the butt as you drive forward to get that momentum up, and then those hips coming back as those weights come down to kind of absorb that force. Biggest mistakes I see made on this one, number one, just like with a normal swing, way too much arms. People just kind of doing a little bit of hip motion, but they're really using the arms and those shoulders to get those weights on up. And that'll be key. You'll know that you're doing this if you're starting to burn in the shoulders before you're starting to burn in those glutes and hamstrings and that back. So make sure we're not just lifting with the arms. Those arms are staying straight and they're actually just kind of staying pretty limp throughout that whole movement. They're just controlling the weights, making sure they swing in that same path here while the hips are what's going back to absorb and then generating the force coming up. So that's the number one common mistake I see made, using too much arms. Number two is not keeping the torso nice and straight and that chest up. And what that looks like is swinging and kind of rolling the spine on over here, and then you're going to get way too much of the low back involved here. So we are hinging at the waist, but you're wanting to keep a nice straight spine, and instead of rolling on over like this, you're wanting to push the butt out while that back stays nice and straight, and then generate the momentum with the glutes as you press forward. So again, we are hinging over, but I'm focusing on really pushing those hips back and then driving them forward while keeping my back straight throughout that entire movement. So those are the two key things to remember on here. Focus on generating momentum with those hips and not with those arms, and then focus on keeping that torso nice and straight. Start out with lightweight on these, and you can progress up from there. If you have a mat and a pad you want to put under those knees, if you're down on the floor, maybe your carpet or maybe your hardwood is not very comfortable on the knees, feel free to put a mat underneath, or you can even roll up a towel or something like that to add a little bit of cushion also.